All right, so yeah, as we were saying before, she tells him to meet at 7 o'clock, but he doesn't meet because he wakes up late, and then that's when they start passing the food to each other.
Yeah, but
I don't.
before this,
This bit was weird. This bit was weird, right?
what?
She throws the baseball, and it goes nowhere near him. It just lands on the floor, like it where all the zombies are. What was the point in that bit?
Because she had the wire tied to the baseball.
I mean, like that was maybe the worst throw of all time. It barely even got out of her apartment.
I don't know if that was just a comedic bit or they were trying to show, like, just. I feel like they were just trying to reveal her character, kind of being like this, or she couldn't throw the baseball. She's not the best at sports. Bit like innocent. Before
Yeah,
that, it
but she
shows her
no,
like
but
rationing her own water to feed the aloe vera plant.
yeah, and then
And
she had like this, like this. She was like survival expert. She had like this trap for when if anything comes into her apartment with like the chair,
yeah,
with like spikes on it.
that's the only bit I'm thinking. Like it shows she's really smart. She's like, probably scouts, cubs, or whatever it is. She knows she's learnt some things. She's sussed out she needs to get on the 8th floor or something like that, looking at him on that rainy night. And maybe it revealed, maybe it was the director showing like there's something coming. Her mind's thinking of a plan for them both to move this forward, pretty much. And then that's where
Well,
he gets his drone out, isn't it?
yeah, well, the baseball does come as like I think it's a plot point later. Anyway, so he uses his drone to make a rope, and then they're passing food to each other. That was a nice bit.
Yeah.
But then things really got kicking off when so the baseball is on the floor attached to a rope, and there's a zombie, and it sees the baseball, and it's scaling up. It scales up the apartment
The
complex.
strongest zombie of them all. The fireman zombie. Doing bits of the tiny tooth, literally, what do you call it? Floss. Literally, that wire was like floss, it was that thin. And this guy was climbing that floss like no tomorrow.
I respect that zombie. Anyway, so he's pulling the baseball, and the wire in her apartment is attached to a table, and the table like knocks her out. It hits her in the chest, and then she's laid out. So then the zombie's coming up while she's knocked out. So then June tries to distract it with the drone. Doesn't really do a good effort of it because the drone gets knocked down by the zombie. Like
saying that, there's the drone cut the zombie's face. Like the propellers cut the zombie's face. So I thought, well, obviously, man, he's that sharp. What he's obviously going to cut the wire. He's obviously going to cut the wire with this drone. It just cut flesh on face on this zombie's face. Cut the wire. Next thing you know, Morris 62 Joan. Pointless. Destroyed.
It was well. I suppose it causes enough of a distraction where Kim she recovers and then she manages to chop the zombie's hand off. And it falls onto the floor.
Shows her bad boy. Nice she becomes like the alpha. She's the one who's doing bits now.
Like I like the shot where it was just the hand on the balcony. So then it cuts to June leaves his apartment and finds a tool and he has a golf club, and he enters another apartment because he's looking for supplies.
I really like this scene.
Like peanut butter and like moldy bread in a fridge.
It was almost like game like when he's gathering tools in
healthy.
Like getting not ammunition, what would it be called? So you got
supplies.
It was like gathering supplies, and he calls it farming. Let's go farming.
Yeah, it was very like Resident Evil.
Yeah, I like that bit.
So then he's in an apartment, and there's someone lying on the bed that's clearly a zombie turned, and he's trying.
I found this bit scary.
Tries to be sneaky, and he enters the room, and the main thing was you find some wired headphones. And he finds a walkie-talkie as well, but then he kind of overstays his welcome because he's trying to like take the guy's clothes. But it wasn't the guy. It wasn't the guy on the bed. It was actually his wife or his girlfriend. And then the guy that he sees in the pictures was actually behind him, and he jumps on top of June, try to kill him. But somehow June manages to get his wife in between them, and he manages to make an escape. But like that was probably one of the best scenes where
I thought that was really good.
It was like there was suspense building up, and
like I jumped and I was panicking. Then like I thought, like the sound effects again, really good. I thought everything. I thought it could have been it for him at that point. They filmed it very well, and also it's almost like you were going to deserve it in that scene. Like you were saying, you were getting that guy's clothes. You're kind of like showing off the clothes as if they were like fancy, like oh yeah, as if he deserves some kind of karma for being so happy with stealing this guy's clothes, even though this guy's never going to wear them again. But he was too comfortable, and he found the orcs that he needed in that room and some walkie-talkies. So this guy had it all. This guy had a full storage room pretty much going on for him here.
I also like the scene after, because it was like after we just had like a suspenseful scene, they kind of like relaxed it a bit. Where so June gives Kim the walkie-talkie and they're talking, and then he's being an idiot, like he's not releasing his hand when they're talking, and it was kind of like quite comedic, and they're just there making noodles. So it was kind of just like a nice scene, especially after what we just had.
Notice that the thing that I got strange about the realness of it was, originally when she sends food over to him, she suddenly is on a slightly higher level apartment opposite his, and the food slides down the wire to his apartment, and that's how it gets to him. But then suddenly,
if it was level, it would have just stayed in the middle.
Yeah, and then by the time he throws it back to her, like it doesn't even go down. They're suddenly on the same level at that point, and it just shows him pushing it, and then it getting to her side. But yeah, it would have stayed on the middle, wouldn't it, at that point? So it was a bit of a. I just thought, come on, you could have sorted that bit out.
Anyway, and then on my notes it says, when they're making the noodles, they think there's a massive rainstorm because they hear this like a loud thundering noise, but it's not rain. It's just a big herd of zombies that.
But why did that happen? It didn't make any sense. Like I thought, all these zombies suddenly started when they thought it raining. It's suddenly zombies stampeding around the building, and it's like they were all heading for one thing, as if like it were going to reveal something was about to happen that were going to carry the story forward. Like something's distracting these zombies, or something's going to help them, and they were stampeding to nowhere. They were just like randomly belting it around the apartment. Do you know what I mean? Like it didn't even.
It like. They could have easily just had like maybe like a woman that was in the apartments on the floor below, like screaming, and like the zombies are getting attracted, or like a car alarm goes off.
Yeah.
Like something like actually showed the zombies actually panicking and getting attracted to something.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. But can I just say, for the scene before as well, it also showed when they were talking on the walkie-talkies, like he was even putting his finger over the walkie-talkie, and she was like, "No, you got to take your finger off the walkie-talkie." And at the start of the film, you think he's the tech guy, but really, all he knows is this modern tech, and she's the one who knows. She's like a
survivor.
She's been raised by the father, and he was like a wild person, not a wild person, but like he knew how to survive in the wild, and he passed this knowledge down. So she knew all. It reveals more. She knows all the survival techniques of like the retro thing, and he's just clueless at this point. But it shows them building like a companionship and a little bit of flirting during that before the stampede.
That was a good scene. And then so then the zombies are headed towards Kim's apartment, and she's on the walkie-talkie saying, this was like building up to something where she was like, they're outside my apartment on the walkie-talkies, and then
because she knocked a table over.
Yeah, June's like, which apartment are you at? And then I think doesn't he ring a phone nearby,
Yeah, like
or something like
maybe
that.
the
I don't know.
office on like that floor, something like that.
Yeah, like they didn't really get into like what he did.
He
Kind of
just
just happened.
and suddenly he had signal. He has a home phone,
I know.
so he could have rang anywhere. If that works, he could have rang his parents. He could have rang anything. Pointless home phone suddenly emerges, which
Uh,
is never seen again.
anyway, that gets the zombies away from Kim for the time being. And then she plans like an escape. She's saying, I'm gonna come meet you at your apartment, but make sure you're downstairs." Like even these bits where it was so rushed.
Yeah, towards it, like he got rushed towards this point towards the end, and I thought, are we heading towards another character or like a main reason? I don't know. Either way, carry on. Take me away.
Right. So then Kim does like this parkour
Yeah,
ninja scaling off the building down, like killing these zombies. So she's
abseils
on like
down out of nowhere.
she's on the ground floor, like outside the apartments, killing these
She's
zombies.
she's aiming for the 8th floor at this point, isn't she? She's
Yeah,
like she got to get to
but
the 8th floor for some reason.
and then but then she gets into how bad was that scene where she gets into the car? She gets into the car and she's surrounded by zombies, but she manages to escape the car. I mean, like that would have that took me out because she should have got swarmed at that
She
moment
should have got basically.
because she was in the car for like a good 5 seconds as well.
Yeah, so I don't know why they did that. Like she was a complete bad girl, taking everything like martial artist or something, and then suddenly she just loses it all. Kinda, I thought it was a bit of a symmetry to the police when it was like, nah,
But
this
yeah, I
this
think
person
that
can't die. But then like, oh, can she? Do you know what I mean?
yeah. So then she gets she escapes the car. And she gets overrun by zombies. They're on top of her, but then June manages to be downstairs. I thought it was a different person at first that saves her, but it's June that he
Mm.
hits a zombie on the head with a golf club, and then they scale up towards his apartment. But there's too many zombies. Like they're overwhelmed at this point, and they're in a narrow corridor. And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, I think a smoke grenade comes from an apartment, and this random guy pulls June and Kim towards his apartment.
Mm.
Uh, and then this bit gets quite interesting. So
Yeah, it's
then,
probably one of the best parts of the film.
but there's only like 15 minutes left at this moment, so I knew there was going to be a quick resolution to this. And I did. So before we tell you what happened, what did you think of this guy when you first saw him?
I thought this guy's going to be all right. He's going to be like a guy. Just by the way he had smoke grenades, I thought he's going to be one of them guys who's always been prepared for the end of the world. He's got like food supplies. He's going to have a couple of guns, maybe stuff like that. And he seemed like a decent guy. But then, like, the only thing I got questioned of him was, I don't know, he felt safe because he pulls out water, which was the same brand water that June had at the start of the film, which had like a heart on it. And I thought they're just referencing it's like a life in like a zombie game, you know, like how many lives you have. So they put that in on the water. I just thought this guy is completely safe until he
No,
lights the cigarette. Then I thought,
right.
oh,
So I've probably played more zombie games and probably watched more zombie games and horror games than you, where
yeah.
I knew as soon as I saw this guy, he was going to be trouble.
Well, what would
Like,
you in real life? Would you trust that guy?
yeah, in real life I probably would, but like
Oh, you'd
I
be
knew
getting
as soon
you'd
as
be getting done.
like if anyone's played The Last of Us, and there's a character called David where he's like elder guy and he's like really nice at first, but then you know that he's gonna turn on you. It was like the exact same moment as that. But anyway, he feeds them, gives them some spam and some sweet corn, and then they're
Spray him?
devouring it.
Yeah.
And then Kim notices that there's some baby bottles, and then she says to the guy, "Oh, have you got a kid?"
I just
And
thought,
he
why
goes,
have you asked that? Why did
I
you
know.
ask that question? I thought she was going to go. She could have at least just said, "Oh, is anybody else here?" But purposely,
Yeah.
you think, right? Obviously, his entire family's dead. That's why he's on his own. And she goes,
Yeah.
You got kids?" Obviously, you're like, "It's your dad." But the weird
Yeah.
part about that is it never goes into that further. The kid bit.
Yeah. Well, and then he just said, "Oh, but there's 2 kids that came today." And then at this moment, June passes out. Yeah, he's drugged up the
Yeah,
food.
that showed
Uh,
the June being daft as well, because it like
yeah,
saying that
naive.
he did wait for the guy to drink the water,
Yeah.
and then June
Well,
does
I
all
like
the
I
water.
like I like that bit because it was like kind of a bit of a throwback where June's in an earlier scene is like scoffing food down, eating really fast, and then Kim's like, "Stop eating so fast," but he
She
still
takes a
does it
little sip.
anyway. Yeah, no, but he still does it anyway when he's eating at the end. So he
Yeah,
passes out first because he's eating more. So
yeah.
then
I
Kim
like.
sees him passed out.
That's what I was thinking. Like, why did he pass out so fast? But then I thought, oh, it makes sense in it because he absolutely downed all the water. But then why didn't
Yeah.
the guy pass out? Like,
I think it was the food, wasn't it?
no, I thought it was the water.
Might have been. I don't know.
Either way, it could have been saying that could have been good. Yeah, if it were food, that's quite a good idea. They would have no idea.
Anyway, so then um, Kim then passes out. He zip ties both of them.
Oh no,
No,
one more
the
point.
zip
One
tie.
more point. Before they
Sorry.
pass out, he says he starts telling them there's a rescue team coming, and
Oh yeah,
that's when they get
that
so
was important bit.
overjoyed and like you start to trust this guy, or they trust this guy, and like they're so into what he's saying. Rescue
Yeah, that
team
was an
coming, didn't you
important bit.
know?
Like,
Lying
did you know?
fool.
Yeah, but when he said that, did you think he was lying? I did.
At first, I thought, yeah. At first, I thought he said that there's a rescue team that's actually going to come, but maybe he's crazy and they have to almost outlast him in this apartment for the rest of the film. Like maybe, like, have you ever seen that film with oh, what's his name? It's got aliens in it. It's about. Do you know the guy who played Fred Flintstone in the film?
Nah.
Do you know the guy who plays Mike? No, not Mike. Do you know the big blue thing in Monsters Inc?
Oh, right. Are you
The
talking
act,
about Cloverfield?
it's linked to Cloverfield. Do you
10
know
Cloverfield Lane?
the thing where he's in a base, like in a bunker
Yeah,
underground,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah,
lets
yeah.
that guy and the girl in?
Yeah.
It reminded me. I thought it's going to be like that. Like the guy is going to be like that with him, and he's going to go crazy and like start trying to kill him and stuff. But there's an actual rescue team coming.
Yeah. Anyway, he zip ties. Um, did he zip tie them both? I think just zip ties Kim, don't he? And
I'm sure I thought he zip ties them both, and then suddenly June
yeah,
didn't have it on. Didn't have a zip tie
so,
on.
so he puts Kim into another room, and then there's there's a zombie in the room with her that's in this contraption where she's tied up, but the guy can control her like with how hard he pulls on these ropes.
I thought this was such
Um,
a good scene. Yeah, I thought this was the best scene in the whole film. It was in the
yeah, it was
baby's
good.
room, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah. So then the zombies like and Kim are like getting really close to each other. The zombies try to attack
Oh, it was
Kim, but
spooky, this.
the guy's pulling on it a little bit, but he's kind of like teasing it, and the
Oh, yeah, I wanted it.
screaming going on, and it cuts to outside where June has a gun in his hand, ready to shoot the guy,
Yeah, he's walked back up suddenly.
and then the guy tells him that he's basically explaining that zombie is his wife, and he's sympathizing with his wife, saying, "Oh, she's hungry," and he's still like humanizing her, even though she's turned. So basically, he's giving Kim, so his wife could eat her.
Maybe that's where
Uh,
the baby went as well. Maybe he actually fed the baby to his wife, and that's why she's locked in that room.
yeah, kind of like it made you sympathize with the guy a little bit as well.
Yeah,
Like
his wife hadn't
this
eaten in like
guy's locked up.
5 days, supposedly. Even though this lockdown, this whole thing had gone on for like
nearly 3 weeks.
yeah, maybe she'd eaten the baby, and that would actually. I found that so scary. The way that she perfect makeup, the way she was moving, the camera angle. I thought, damn, it's actually doing a bit of storytelling here. It's gonna something's happening. Something is happening here, and it looked really good.
Yeah. So then, June has to make a decision. Like he drops the gun because the rope gets released, so then the zombie can go on top of Kim. But then he grabs onto the rope, trying to hold on. And then there's a scuffle going in that you don't see, and then there's noises that just stop. So then the guy opens up the door, thinking, "Oh, his wife's killed June," but that's not the case. And then she manages to get the wife to go on top of the husband, and then the wife ends up eating the husband. But that like then he's embracing her whilst he's eating him.
Yeah, I thought that was so like, good.
It's like he found happiness in that moment.
It's like she were almost not going at him. It's like she was crying into his shoulder as well when they were both on the floor, and you kind of felt sorry for them both. And it was like, oh, I just thought if they'd have done stuff like this all the way through the film, like that scene there could have been in like a 10 out of 10 film. That one scene where she's crying into his shoulder, and it was telling like the story of this guy and his wife. And then the two younger generation, like a boy and a girl, looking at what it means like to have one another. And then once it's all gone, even in pure insanity, you know what it reminds. Just thinking that. Do you know in Gears of War 2 or 3 when is it Dom when he sees his wife?
His wife in the pod.
It's like he still sees his wife as this beautiful living all there.
But then Marcus is like,
in reality,
get out. Yeah,
she's actually a full-on like zombie type.
I then Dom kills himself because he wants to be with his wife. So it can't be like the guy found happiness in the end when he died as well.
Yeah, that was a good scene. I say best scene in the film right there.
Yeah, so Kim kills them both. She shoots them both. And then Kim and June have a talk, and Kim's like, she's admitting defeat. She's like, we've come this far.
But why?
We have to. If we're gonna die, we die together.
She couldn't have picked a better place to be. All the food there, higher floor, safety, smoke grenades, all this stuff, and she suddenly just goes, "Aye, let's end it now." You know, like as if we didn't have it as bad before, being alone, and now we're together. We should kill ourselves, even though I got all these supplies. I start getting a bit mad with her. Like, come on, this is your best opportunity right now.
Yeah, and then they were both like emotional as well, and then Kim was like, "June, shoot me," and then June like had the gun, tried to pull the trigger, but he just couldn't do it.
June's nearly pooing himself here at this point. Yeah. It's not like he's like going. I was just like, what are you doing?
I don't know if he was gonna do it or not. I don't think he was, but then all of a sudden he hears helicopter noises. Right, can I tell you something?
Go for it.
I'm going to tell you something right now. I wish June killed Kim in this moment, and then he heard the helicopters.
Oh, that could have been some good storytelling.
Because I don't know if you know the film called like The Mist.
No.
Well, The Mist is a film where it's like if there's massive mist in like this place, and then there's monsters in the mist. Like I don't know if you even see it, but when you're in the mist, like there's monsters and they're killing everyone. And then the last scene is with, I think, a dad and his two daughters and his family. And then they're in the mist, and he's like, he doesn't want his family to die to the monsters. So he ends up taking the decision to shoot his family because he doesn't want them to suffer by the monsters that are inevitably going to come. So then he kills his family in the back of a car, and then after he kills them, all of a sudden he hears these noises out of the mist, but it's a whole army that comes and rescues the whole of the village. But he ends up shooting his family just before that moment.
Just at the end of the film.
I thought they could have done something like that where he made the decision, but then the rescue team come I thought that would have probably been better.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, because if they were going to do that, I wish there were a bit more to the story.
No,
Almost.
because the ending was terrible. The last two scenes was
Yeah, true. All right, we'll
dreadful.
speak about it, and then we'll say how we wish it would have ended then.
So then they hear the helis, and then they know they have to get to the roof, so the helis could have an off chance really of seeing them. So then they're on a staircase, and then June holds him off and tells Kim to go on ahead of him to the roof.
Yeah.
She goes up. June struggles, but he ends up getting there with her.
Oh, he does well with that bike, though, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Is it the bike that he's holding him off with?
Yeah, and then there's another bike like right above it, like a floor above him, and he didn't even use it then. Anyway, they go onto the roof, and then at this moment, there's no helicopters about, and they're completely overwhelmed by.
Hold on, one point. When it's also, yeah, I saw it as pointless. I don't know why they even put it in the film. It got me annoyed because I wish that I saw it. After he's done the bicycle thing, he's pushed him down, and he runs up.
The fire
the fire hose. I thought this could be such a good, imagine if he turns this on, absolutely swills and floods a complete block, or just to see it as a visual thing. I just thought, what was the point in him even getting that in the end? Or he could have at least tied it around the rail and made a slight block, but it was just another pointless thing that were added in there.
So then they go on the roof, and there must be 20 or 30 zombies there with them. They're overwhelmed, and then of course what happens, I don't know how there's a helicopter below them. They would have heard it, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, from a mile off.
It was directly below them.
Yeah.
Anyway, that comes up, and then the army men shoot the zombies, and they manage to get onto the heli, and then he gets his signal back. Does he get a text from his family?
Suddenly, because he's a couple of meters away from that apartment. Yeah. His signal's back to normal. Everything's normal. Everyone's alive. His family are pinging him, saying blah 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 blah. It was just what is the thing with the signal? And then they start promoting the fact that people are being found because they were sharing the hashtag on social media. They were almost like Instagram, or maybe their equivalent of Instagram, or maybe it were Instagram. But you're just popping up how many people were only left, one person per apartment, and the army found them because of social media.
And this wasn't a worldwide infection. They only said 50,000 people were infected, and that it's only because they were in a crowded metropolitan area, apartments, where they were overwhelmed. So it's it wasn't a worldwide thing.
No, and then it was just I just thought saying that it did make a fact of I just thought, I always complain on social media, but I just thought, could you imagine if what are old people going to do? Imagine if the old people are in that apartment and they don't have a mobile, they don't know how to use Instagram. What are they going to do? They don't have a hashtag. Someone might misspell the hashtag and not get found. Someone could just put their location on or anything, but just because he had that and they were suddenly on the roof at that exact time, it could have been. They could have turned that film into a comedy. It wasn't a comedy, but the narrative could have been justified if the film was a comedy and you didn't have to be bothered about how strong moments were and how things flowed.
It was nothing what genre would you say this film was? Because it wasn't a comedy. I wouldn't put it as a thriller. I wouldn't really even say it was a horror film either.
If I could think back, I'd think this is a short film, even though it went on for an hour and a half. It's a short film that's I don't even know. Not a horror. Some of it were a horror, but it was almost imagine you playing a video game and all the cutscenes in the video game kept put together in one sequence. That's what it was. You missed out a lot of the kind of context of you playing and what was going on in between. It was all the.
it could have been like a really long episode of like Black Mirror or something where they could have really used technology a bit more.
I still haven't seen Black Mirror, any of them at all.
Well, it's mainly to do like technology and like how it can like mess things up, and like they could have done something like that.
So, how would you have ended this film differently? Because the film ends after that scene. The film just ends with like "I will survive."
Like I said, I think it would have been way more impactful if June ended up killing Kim, and then he had the heli. Like, would he have like tried to find survival, or would he have had so much guilt where he would rather have just died at that moment?
Or maybe like he did kill her, and then he thought everybody's dead, and then just at the end, his phone starts working. The army turn up. Saying that, it's just copying the other film in it that you mentioned, The Mist. But somewhere where, or if they both jumped at the end of the film, and 5 minutes
Even
later,
if they both died at the end, if they both died at the end, and then the rescue team came, that would have been good as well.
or maybe if his family, they could have even introduced his family into it. Like, the goal was not to get to the top of the building and a helicopter magically appear, but for them to get off of that building and then him to find his family. And from that, like, at least he's searching for a goal. Like, I thought that was the entire goal. They're going to find his family.
I thought that.
And
like,
he got a text, not really. There were no completion.
I should have really liked this film where, like, I really like films where, like they're in like one location. And,
but they got to be such good. Usually, like Oscar-winning films when it's in one location because it's so good. Like classic films.
I love The Hateful Eight, where it's just they're in the tavern, and then even like I don't know if you've seen Room. Room's like really good as well.
No, seen The Hateful Eight though. That were really good.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was like, when we talked about this film, I probably liked it a bit more when we were talking about it than I actually did when we were watching it.
Because you think back to the scenes, but like you want a story as well, and it were more just a pure. I don't know. I feel like I thought it's like they didn't almost finish the film. I thought there's no better time to release this uncompleted film now than during lockdown, when everyone can kind of relate, and there is a bit of a plague going on. And, the possibilities are endless of what could happen. And the reason why we've not been as lonely and bored is because of social media. But then it backfires at social media because, like, Kim is the retro one who kind of gets some places by showing how social media and modern technology ain't always reliable. Or he just like, even the wired phone is the reason why she lives, because he rings on the wired phone instead of all this wireless stuff. But saying that, even our connection, look at our Wi-Fi wireless, it's completely rubbish. Saying that in the second part of this podcast, about the Wi-Fi, it's been fine. So I'm so annoyed about this first part. That is going to sound disgusting. No one's going to listen up to this point. But at least this point works so far.
I'll leave it on a positive. I quite like both characters, like the main characters.
Yeah, I liked them both. Like, saying, do you know what could have happened? There could have been a number 2. They could have left it on a cliffhanger. And then, no, this is what it could have been. It could have been, like you were saying, Black Mirror, I'm going off on anyone here. This is when I get my ideas. That could have been episode 1 of a TV show. That could have been cut down to 60 minutes and put as an episode 1. And then they could have shot it all in those apartment blocks for like a 6-episode show or something like that. There could have been a lot more possibilities to what could have come of that show. It could have been left on a cliffhanger.
Like when they met the guy who had his wife turned, they could have had like a lot more backstory with him, and like they could have like had like a mission with him where they actually did trust him, but at the end he was a crazy guy instead of the turn being like after 2 minutes of meeting him.
Yeah, petition for it. So I say turn it into a TV show. That could have been like a whole 2 episodes in that guy's apartment, and like it was a slow heel turn by him. He was getting slightly nasty. I think that could be a good TV show. That could be a great TV show. Just that entire film stretched out over time with some more plot twists and the family slowly getting in contact and maybe more use of his online YouTube channel or whatever he was doing. My final comment is that could make a great TV show, but the film, it was kind of I didn't complain after I watched it. I just thought, oh, something to talk about. But it didn't make me. I'd probably never watch it again.
Oh no, I probably won't even remember this film in a few months' time.
So, if you're gonna rate it out of 10, Samee's official rating. I heard your rating last night, but after this, I reckon you might have changed. You sticking?
Yeah, I reckon 5.
So you've increased it by 2 points.
2.
Oh, okay, fine. Because last night you say it were 3.
3. I get emotional after I watch it.
So why a 5 now?
Because 5 like average, below average, and I think that's what it is. 3's like awful.
All right. Yeah.
I give it the benefit.
Okay, fine. I will give it. Yeah, I'll give it exactly a 5 too, because it had 50% of what it needed. It was missing another 50% of not as much context, but what was it missing? Not plot twists. No, maybe it was context. More reason. More. It was missing a journey. It was missing a story arc, basically. It had the idea. It was like basically someone just said the idea and they shot a bunch of stuff, but nobody wrote. Oh, it was as if I'm trying to get subliminal. It was as if someone said, I've heard of this novel and this is what it's about. Let's go make a film about it. But nobody actually read the novel to put the context in there. It was like it was
It was half-baked.
Chinese whispers is what it was, of an idea. But you know what? It came out all right. It was well shot, nice makeup. Good job by a makeup team. Props for the makeup team. I'd give big props. And the sound effect team. I like that. But by the director or the person who wrote the film, you're missing some things out, I gotta say.
Do better.
5 out of 10. What else you want to say to wrap it up?
No. I hope next time we watch a film that we might actually enjoy.
Yeah, we'll have to check for the next trending thing. And also, definitely do it this way for recording. It sounds better when we're not actually watching the video of ourselves, or maybe when we switch to Wi-Fi. So, you know what? Thanks anybody who's still listening, but I imagine you went maybe 30 seconds in. But at least we're putting the content out there, you know what I mean? At least we're trying step by step. So I'm going to say goodbye. Follow us on everything. You know what? I said it before. It's in the links. If you're actually watching on something, you can comment something you know that's coming out or trending that you think we'd enjoy. And it's a goodbye from me. So I'm going to let Samee officially say goodbye to you, and then I'm going to stop the stream.
Goodbye, everyone. See you in the next one.
Is that it? Is that all you got for the people?
That's it.
All right, fine. All right. You know what? Ciao to everybody. Bye-bye. See you next time. This has been Are You Still Watching? Bye-bye.